Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the dental board meeting. We're just going to have our guests sign in. And I guess we can start with our video while everyone is signing in. After we have the video, the vice chair is going to read something for us. I guess.
Welcome to the Professional and Vocational Licensing Virtual Board Meeting.
When the meeting begins momentarily, the chair will take a roll call, explain any specific rules for this particular board, and then move to public comment. The name of the board member will appear on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. For instance, this is board member Y, and this is board member E. Public testimony will be accepted at the beginning of the meeting and before each agenda item. You can indicate that you are ready to testify by clicking on the Raise Hand button being circled by the mouse on your screen now. At the appropriate time, the board will recognize you to speak and ask you to unmute your mic as shown here. Again, public testimony will be accepted at the beginning of the meeting and before each agenda item. Public attendees will not be able to unmute their microphone until recognized by the board. Public attendees who are recognized to testify will be asked to identify themselves by name and their affiliated organization if applicable. Please mute your microphone when you are finished speaking as a courtesy to others and members of the board. Public attendees will not be able to unmute themselves after the testimony is completed unless recognized again after raising their hand. At some point during the meeting, the board may choose to move into executive session. When the board moves into executive session, the board members' microphones and video feeds will be turned off, and a similar screen as you see now will be displayed. When the board returns from executive session, their microphones will be turned on as well as their video cameras.
Welcome again to the Professional and Vocational Licensing Virtual Board Meeting.
At this time, the chair will call the meeting to order and take a roll call, as well as explain any additional rules that may be specific to this board.
Okay, thank you. Before we take a roll, we're going to have the vice chair read something for us.
Okay. Internet access. To review the meeting and provide live oral testimony, please use the link on top of the agenda. You'll be asked to enter your name. The board requests that you enter your full name, but you may use a synonym or any identifier you wish to remain anonymous. You'll also be asked for your email address. You may fill this field with any entry in an email format. Your microphone will automatically be muted. When the chairperson asks for public testimony, you may click the raise hand button found on the Zoom screen to indicate you wish to testify about an agenda item. The chairperson will individually enable each testifier to unmute their microphone. When recognized by the chair, please unmute your microphone before speaking and mute your microphone after you finish speaking. Phone access. If you cannot get internet access, you may get an audio-only access by calling the phone number listed on top of the agenda. Upon dialing the number, you'll be prompted to enter the meeting ID, which is also listed on top of the agenda. After entering the meeting ID, you will also be asked to enter your panelist number or wait to be admitted into the meeting. You will not have a panelist number, so please wait until you're admitted into the meeting. When the chairperson asks for public testimony, may indicate you want to testify by entering the star, then 9 on your phone's keypad. After entering star and 9, a voice prompt will let you know that the host of the meeting will be notified. When recognized by the chair, you may unmute yourself by pressing star, then the 6 on your phone. A voice prompt will let you know you're unmuted. Once you're finished speaking, please enter star, then 6 again to mute yourself. For both internet and phone access, when testifying, you'll be asked to identify yourself and the organization, if any, that you represent. Each testifier will be limited to 5 minutes of testimony per agenda item.
Good. All right, now that that's read, we're going to take a roll. I'm going to call off your names. Please answer with here and if you're alone. Okay. So Dr. Seo.
Present in person.
Dr. Chong.
Here, alone.
Dr. Choi,
Here and alone.
Dr. Fujimoto,
Here, alone.
Catherine Fukushima,
Here in person.
Dr. Lau,
Here, alone.
Joy
Here,
Shimabuku,
alone. Sorry.
Joy Shimada. Joyce there?
Tracy.
Joyce
Oh,
Yamada.
yes, I'm here and alone. I didn't hear.
Dr. Yamamoto
I'm here and alone.
and myself. So we have a quorum, so I'll call this meeting to order. All right, so let's move on to item 2, approval of the open session minutes on September 18th, 2023. Again, I'll open this up to any questions from the public in regards to our minutes. Okay, seeing none, I'll pose it back to the board. If you could review your minutes, is there anything that you see that needs to be fixed? Okay, seeing none, I need a motion to, I'll make a motion to approve the open session minutes.
This is Andrew. This is Andrew. I second.
Okay. All in favor of approving the minutes, raise your hand and say aye.
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 Okay, any nays or recusals? Seeing none, that's minutes are approved. Okay. Let's move on to item 3, new business. We're gonna look at the permitted interaction group, the PIG report resource is listed. Let's see, resources listed of approved courses for dental hygiene certification of the administration of intraoral block anesthesia. Joyce, do you have anything? Or Joyce, sorry. Anything for us?
Yeah, I just wanted to make the report about, okay, so the PIG gathered together on October 18th as well as November 8th to talk about the DH courses. And what we came up with is this, if you could bring that up or share your screen, the list of qualifications that people need to do. So say a candidate wanted to come in and become certified here in Hawaii, they would look at this and just do the checklist and find their own courses to take or the training. And we felt that this was the most advantageous for the person just because they know the current courses that might be offered at that time and in the area that they're able to access.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Oh, I have to do one thing. For the item A, is there any public comments?
Oh, so actually, I just wanted to remind the board the process for pigs.
Yes.
Is that okay?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so there's three meetings or 3 announced things involving the pigs. So for this permitted interaction group, the first meeting, we established the pig and the scope. This is the second report to the board, where the pig presents its finding and recommendations. So the board and the public won't discuss and there's no action on it until our 3rd meeting. So we'll take action, vote, anything. The public can give testimony, all of that at the third meeting in January.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we haven't had pigs in a while, so it's
Yeah.
actually a nice refresher. for us. Okay,
Thank you, Joyce.
all right, so is there anything else that you need to present? Anyone else? Okay, that sounds good. So let's move on to 3B, Rules Committee update.
I'm sorry, Chair.
Oh, yes.
Although it is true, the public can comment at the 2nd meeting, at the 3rd meeting, after this, they should be given an opportunity to comment at this meeting as well.
Oh,
We did that as.
I think you would ask if you were interrupted.
Oh, okay. All right. So no comments, but then we'll have
is
this.
there anyone
Else?
No.
Okay, thank you. So again, we'll open up comments at the next meeting. So again, let's move on to 3B, Rules Committee update.
testimony?
Yeah, anyone want to give testimony for this from the public? Anyone raising their hand? Okay, again, we're gonna have to defer this matter so we can I guess we just have to defer the matter until January. So do we have to take a vote on deferring the matter? Because I think we're just gonna,
I'll defer.
yeah, all right, we're just gonna defer matters in regards to the Rules Committee meeting to January's board meeting. All right, let's move on to item 3C. Regulated Industries Complaint Office, RICO, Dental Advisory Committee members. This is one where we're just gonna move straight to a motion here that we move to approve the RICO Advisory Committee list as amended, and any additional interim appointees to RICO deems necessary to aid in the investigation. So I'm gonna make a motion to approve the list for the advisory committee. Joyce,
Joy second.
okay. Anyone, any nays or recusals or abstentions?
I'm sorry, Chair. I hate
Oh,
to
sorry.
keep
Yeah,
saying
that's
this,
okay.
but
Gotta keep me straight.
even though we're not discussing more than just the motion, you still have to open it up for public.
Oh, okay. All right. Any public comments on this? Since there's not a list. Yeah, okay. All right, we'll close public comments. Any discussion from, we'll just move for the motion then. Okay, again, I'll put the motion forward that we approve the list
As amended.
as amended. Okay, and I need the second again.
Yeah, Joy second.
Okay, all in favor, raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, any recusals or nays? Seeing none, let's move on, so motion carries. Let's move on to item 3D, the Hawaii Oral Health Coalition presentation. 2024 legislation proposal regarding the community service dental hygienist, Patrick Donnelly and Malia Hall, statewide oral health coalition. Any public testimony? Yeah. If you could please state your name and who you represent,
Aloha.
and you have 5 minutes.
Aloha, my name is Mai Hall. I am with the Hawaii Oral Health Coalition, and with me online is my co-facilitator, Patrick Donnelly. And we're here to present a proposed draft bill which would allow a licensed dental hygienist to perform preventive dental sealant screenings and apply preventive dental sealants on individuals who are not yet patients of record, have not yet previously been examined by a licensed dentist, or do not have a treatment plan prescribed by a licensed dentist when under the general supervision of a licensed dentist in a school-based oral health program. We are asking for that language to be amended, and the bill is about 3 pages long, and many of you have received that bill. So the basic premise of the bill is to allow a dental hygienist to screen and apply those dental sealants within a school-based oral health setting without requiring the treatment plan of a dentist. It would allow for an expansion of the current school-based sealant programs within Hawaii schools, targeting Title I schools. And a quick statistic, about 10% of our Medicaid children currently receive dental sealants. This would allow increased access to our most vulnerable students in the school settings. And it would also provide a referral to the dental home in their community for other emergent and urgent oral health care needs. I'm happy to answer any questions you have on this proposed legislation.
Okay, any other public comments? No other public, no one raising their hand online?
Patrick Donnelly.
Okay, just wait there, we're gonna ask for the board questions.
Patrick.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for making the time for us. I just wanted to clarify that this doesn't specify community service dental hygiene license. This would be related to all dental hygienists.
All right, thank you. Any other public comments?
Craig Yamamoto. If I read it correctly, though, it's only to all dental hygienists, but it is to these schools or the need-based locations. Is that correct? I don't know how to call those.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And then the other, I'm sorry, I have a follow-up question. Of the, you had mentioned, or she had mentioned 10%. Any data on the preventative impact on the sealants on that 10%?
For me personally, I haven't seen the actual impact of that specific statistic. And I will point out it's from 2019 also. We're still waiting for MedQuest to to release more current data, but we can follow up with that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I was just curious. I mean, because I mean, I feel it probably have an impact. I didn't know if there was something that you had measured already. Okay, no
Mhm.
other questions. Thank you.
Okay, just taking a quick step back. Any other public?
No one.
comment? Okay, I'm gonna close it now to public comments. Now I'm gonna put it back to the board for comments to either person. Dr. Sam.
So Chair Guevara, I'm going to recuse myself from this matter
Okay, that's fine.
for the record.
For the record, okay.
Dr. Chong or Dr.
Oh, yeah, that's gonna come up next. Okay, so now that we have that, the people in charge of this are Dr. Chong and Dr. Lau. Do you guys have any questions or stuff to present for us?
I have a question. This is Dr. Lau. I have two questions. Okay. Hypothetically, since it's open to any licensed dental hygienist, can any hygienist like diagnose their own sealants and say, okay, I'm gonna seal you and charge money? Or is it only limited to the hygienists that work at the schools or that kind of settings?
Mention that.
Screening, does that mean that they look at the teeth, right? And then say, oh, you need a sealant, but only in the schools? They can't go and open their own shop and say, oh, I'm gonna do just sealants and earn lots of money and, you know, without looking at x-rays and walk in from the mall. So that was one question. And the other question I had was, do they take bite wings to see? Because sometimes they're hard to see unless you see the bite wings. Oh, it penetrated down. You cannot seal that. You gotta do a filling. So, so those are the two questions I had mainly. How is the details of those areas?
Thank you for your question. I can take that first one. And the answer is I can understand the concern with allowing dental hygienists to practice within their scope of practices, but this specific bill would not allow them to go ahead, go into the community, open up their own practice. It's specifically limited to school-based oral health programs, and they have to be practicing still under the supervision of the practicing dentist who oversees that program. So it's very specific.
Okay, good. What about the other one, the screening? Does it involve looking at the bite wings to determine if there's decay, or no? The screening doesn't allow bite wings to be taken first.
Patrick, do you know that?
That specific point hasn't come up in our discussion about what we're proposing. I would lean on the, kind of what Mai had just said, that any duties that would be performed in those settings would still fall under that direct supervision of the supervising dentist. So if that were something that is standard practice and the training was provided, I suppose that would be possible, but forgive me, I'm not familiar on that specific process in relation to what the dentist would be directing for the hygienist.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions from the board?
This is Dr. Chong. You said that there was already a program in place for this type of screening that they're doing, or I know that there was something like that a long time ago, but is there still, you said that there's still currently a sealant program?
Correct. There is currently, yeah, I get them. Okay, there's currently in place a program called Hawaii Keiki. It's through UH Manoa Nancy Atmosphera Walsh School of Nursing. And the Hawaii Keiki program started in 2019, about 3 years ago. And it finished up its pilot program, and they currently see 68 public elementary schools in year 2022, 2023. They screened over 2,000 children with 61% who they identified as needing sealants. So this current program is being funded through various foundations, grants. Unfortunately, not the big CDC grant, which we're trying to get, but expanding this practice for dental hygienists would allow the Hawaii Keiki program to operate in a more cost-efficient model. This bill does not ask for any funding. It is already being funded through these various funding streams. So this bill is just allowing an increase in efficiency and effectiveness, allowing the dental hygienist to see more children rather than waiting upon the dentist to make these checks in place.
So will this program target schools that the current screening program does not target, or will it look to cover all schools?
They're working on
Sorry,
reaching,
you said
Title
okay.
I, right? Yeah, they're working on reaching
Okay.
every Title I school.
Okay.
Okay, any other comments or questions from the board?
I have one more question. This is Dr. Lau again. I noticed the study was based in data from 2015. Is there any more current data about Hawaii having an F grade for sealants? Have we improved since then or anything like that?
Currently, there is no other study that's been done since 2015. So my guess is, since there's been no changes in 2015 till now in expanding access to sealants and community water-based fluoridation, there's been no movement. So we would probably get another F grade if the Pew Research report did another study. But that's the latest and greatest data we have currently.
And one more question. So if the hygienist is under the general supervision of the dentist, like if she sees something and they don't have x-ray in their mobile van, will they take a phone picture and send it to the general dentist since they're not on site, and then, or just say, oh, we can't treat you until you get an x-ray? Or I just don't want a cavity to be sealed and the kid thinking, oh, I'm fine, and there's something there. So that's the only thing I'm concerned about. If the x-rays is such a good legal thing to take x-rays anyway for whatever reason, but I don't know if they have that in the mobile, I don't know, hygiene clinics or whatnot.
Right. In speaking with the Hawaii Keiki dentists, the current use of practice for them is, now I am not a dentist, I am the community person, so correct me if I'm wrong, but the current practices they're using is the silver diamine fluoride, which actually arrests the cavities in place. So with a combination of that technology, in addition to the direct supervision of the practicing dentists, they still have that dentist to allow them to check their work, right? Sorry, I'm a teacher, I'm using terms I know. It's a double check of their work, so the dentist still has that supervision of the dental hygienist.
Okay, anybody else from the board? Okay, Sheena, you had something?
Meyer, Patrick, could you guys just talk about like the potential risks of applying sealant? I know you meant Dr. Lau was kind of alluding to like a sealant was applied over a cavity, or I'm also a layperson, so I don't know like the correct terminology, but like if a sealant goes bad or child has a reaction to it, are there many risks with
So
sealants?
what I know is that silver diamine is approved as a fluoride treatment, and we know it arrests cavities. We just know it, but it's not technically a sealant. It's a chemical reaction that occurs when the silver diamine penetrates down into the cavity and it kind of kills the cavity from growing. Whereas a sealant is like a plastic coating that you can put into the cracks of the groove and form a physical barrier. So we're talking about two different things. So if you don't do any silver diamine and you just seal a cavity with the plastic, the cavity can still grow, right? But if they do silver diamine first and kill the cavity and then seal it, that would be better. But of course, hopefully they're not sealing a big bomb that'll turn to a root canal or abscess, or so that's why x-rays it's hard. Just as a practicing dentist, I don't want to get sued by sealing a cavity. So that's why it's a good program, but you know what I mean? There's some things to be thought about for any hygienist going seal and not doing any caries control.
See, Patrick has his hand.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just to kind of get to that point, I think this has been the most discussion we've got as a potential concern is sealing over those caries inappropriately. We know that there's 33 other states that have successful sealant programs in place. And we really tried to dive in and find out what the greatest risks are. And so far, we haven't found much that tells us the negative implications of anybody going out and performing these in the community setting or in these school-based settings. But I mean, that's something that we're still actively on the lookout for sure. Just like you folks, we want to ensure total safety before anything else, before we would proceed or recommend something.
And Patrick, as a follow-up, so you mentioned 33 other states have some kind of sealant program. Is there precedence for, like, is the language that was proposed, that's being proposed, is this modeled after language in any other state?
Oh, yes.
Great question. So that the language, it was modeled after the what we had seen in other states. Additionally, the language matches what was written in place, I believe, for when the legislation had passed for the virtual dental home. The language mirrors that as well. So we wanted to maintain consistency.
Okay, any other comments from the board?
Just one more question. I'm just going back to the risk. Yeah, could you talk a little bit more about like the pros and cons of not having a licensed dentist do direct supervision? I know this is expanding the scope for dental hygienists, particularly in this public health setting. Just wanted a little bit more discussion on that.
Right, I can start that, Patrick.
Go ahead, Mom.
A bit I have on the quality assurance is to maintain that the supervising licensed dentist still remains responsible for the calibration and direction of the dental hygienist. So there is oversight for those things. And the pros of having a dental hygienist make this determination is, again, that cost saving model. I believe Hawaii Keiki quoted that it costs somewhere around $200 for every time the dental provider has to come inside the room to make those determinations. And having the dental hygienist would cut that cost almost in half to do those things. And the timeliness, having the dental hygienist, another pro is having the dental hygienist do these things with just a simple check from the dentist doing it. So there is a cost efficiency model, there is a timeliness structure, still with the calibration. And Patrick, you can add some more to that.
No, I mean, Mai said it. The only thing I'm really thinking of is, I wouldn't want a potential con to be, this is any sort of indicator that we're trying to completely revamp the scope of practice for hygienists. This is a really targeted effort. Specifically trying to focus on one specific population in a specific setting. Beyond that, I'm not aware of the cons that have been observed in other states. But again, those things we're certainly on the lookout for that and can work to address as we find them. Yeah, thank you so much for the questions.
Can I
Go ahead.
I wonder, Kathy and Joyce, our dental hygiene members, could you share, is there anything like, share the current scope of practice things that dental hygienists can do under general supervision? So like, this would be applying sealants under general supervision. So what other, duties do dental hygienists do under general supervision currently?
I think the main thing that we cannot do is administer anesthetic. That's what I understood. But I do like the sealant program. The only problem is I want to make sure these kids have a dental exam. That's the problem, because I do run into adults that came from these programs that have a lot of disease. So when are they gonna get their dental exam? They need a dental exam. I know in school, when we were in school, we would go out to these projects and put sealants on the kids. But we had a dentist check before we did it. And they had x-rays done. So I think the problem is, when are they gonna get their exam if the sealants are just placed?
I can respond just briefly. So I think one of the defining features of the Hawaii Keiki program, for example, and this is where it's not necessarily a dental provider going in like a FQHC or other community health center. For them, it's part of their operation is to routinely ensure that they have a dental home for that exact reason. This is not intended to replace. Rather, it's a point in time where they can receive something that's potentially beneficial while they're being put in place or put in touch with a dedicated dental home. For other programs, like I'm on Hawaii Island, so Hawaii Island Community Health Center, for example, they're interested in starting this kind of program. They would have direct connection to that dental home, just inherently. And so, that would be it's hard to say when the child is going to get an exam, but the idea is that they would be connected with that dental home specifically for that reason, so they can have that regular source of care.
You need to have anything else?
Joyce, did you have anything to add or any questions?
No, I agree with Kathy fully. I think it's problematic not having an exam.
Okay, anybody else?
With
Someone has
HOHC, would you guys be amendable to amending your language to require that participation would require a dental home to alleviate the board members' concerns?
Yeah, if there's language that we could that could potentially strengthen this measure, we'd certainly be open to it. I'm not in a position to make that decision on my own, but I'd be more than happy to take it to our group for further discussion, and would love to update you folks if that's okay.
Okay. Okay, I just have one, this is Chair DeVar, just have one question. It was data that you compiled for the research that you presented to us. I don't want to say Hawaii's different than most of the other states that may have been looked at, but was there any consideration taken in that we're a state that doesn't have, pretty much fluoridated water compared to the other states, and that's why we always come up really low on dental scores, especially like from the Pew report. So some of the data, like our kids, the third graders, I think from the previous Pew report, we were like the worst in the country. So caries rates are pretty high in Hawaii. And it's just the thing that we're starting to seal these things, comparing us to another state might not be we want to do what's best for the children, but was there any consideration taken into that about how bad we do with dental caries?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead. Either one.
I was just going to say that's that's something that we constantly think about. We try to maintain that perspective also while it would be easy to ignore it and show this data, right? But that's a really important consideration. So at least in our discussions and when we're sort of reporting on the more broad situation, we absolutely factor that in as well.
Okay. It's just something for us to consider. Okay, anybody else on the board have concerns? Go ahead.
I'm a public member, so my thing is the concern is, well, is there a dentist assigned to you folks, or is just dental hygienists with your program?
With the HOHC coalition,
Yeah.
we are a grassroots organization made up of community members, FQHCs, public and private dentists,
Okay.
and a variety of vested community members geared towards increasing access of dental and oral health programs to all of Hawaii's children and adults.
So I can agree with Kathy's concern about having a dental exam first before we folks just put sealant or all this things on. I mean, you know, if it was my child and he went to you and you sealed it and I'm thinking, oh, he's fine, he's okay, he'll be good. But never having a dental exam, you know, I would be kind of upset after a while, you know what I'm saying? So is there a way where the dentist can give them your dentist that's on your boards to do the dental exam? I mean, you know, it's all it is an X-ray.
Right. That is a good question. Currently, the Hawaii Keiki program does have dentists on almost every island. I think they fly the Oahu one to Kauai Island to make those determinations. And there is, I'm not quite sure how exactly they handle those things, but there is a check of the student. And then they always make that referral to a dental home in the community program. So if we could modify language, we're definitely going to talk to our coalition about adding in language to make it a possible requirement of the Hawaii Keiki program to refer to the dental home. I know for a fact they do it. It's just hard for that program administrator person to get a hold of parents at home, because parents, you know, they have to sign consent forms to be in this program. So she's really good about getting parent participation and getting that referral to the dental home in the.
Okay. Anyone else?
Alpha public attendee, Jermaine Higgins.
We closed public testimony already.
I think we have to allow them to.
Okay. All right, is this to present or to ask a question?
We'll decide.
Okay, you can let them in that.
Hi, Jermaine. I'm promoting you to panelist.
Hi, Doreen, can you unmute your microphone and turn on your camera?
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, my name is Jeraine Hignite, and I'm actually part of Hawaii Keiki's school-based dental sealing program. And I'm thank you for allowing me to come on and let's just give a little bit information about our program, okay? So we do not do dental screenings. We only do a basic limited screening. Well, the dentist actually comes out with us, and we do a basic limited screening to see if they are a sealant candidate. Okay, we do not do a dental screening. We do have recording of treated, untreated, and if they need a referral, you know, the status of if they're urgent, non-urgent, or none. So we just have a basic screening, and it's part of that universal dental screening. And Dr. Gavin Uchida he is the one that is our advisor on how we actually calibrate. We all calibrate each other. The dentist and the hygienist are both calibrated. So I was trying to explain that we don't do dental screenings. We only screen to see if they're a sealant candidate and if they need a dental home. If they are a sealant candidate, we do the sealants right then and there. It's a pop-up clinic, 1-day type. If they're not a sealant candidate, they go back to class. But everybody gets a report saying what we did. And I know that Dr. Emmy on Maui is a Hui no Ke'olapono. They are partners with us on Maui. So they have a dental home already. So any keiki that's being seen on Maui will go to Hui no Ke'olapono. So I hope I answered some of your questions, that we don't do dental screenings. We just screen to see if they're a sealant candidate. And we do the sealants then and there. They go back to class.
That makes sense.
We don't take any x-rays, okay? We don't take any x-rays. Our program contract with DOE is actually only to do screen for sealants, refer to a dental home. Yeah, we do not collect, you know, we always are under the dentist. We always work under supervision of a dentist.
Okay, I think that answered some questions for us. Is there anyone else that may have a question for her?
So that's direct. This is Dr. Lau again. So that's under direct supervision of a dentist. You do the screening, so that's very safe then. That's different from the bill, but the bill would have the hygienist go without the dentist and do
We
the
will
screening.
be calibrated by the dentist on the agreement with the dentist, where we will be calibrated under their direction, and they will be available they can be available, by phone. And so the issue is one of our barriers is we don't have enough dentists that are applying for our program. You see, I only have like 4. And it's hard because I've been into the schools, and because the dentist's not available. Maui's one is good. Don't get me wrong. Dr. Emmy is so awesome. I wish we could do that with Hawaii Island, but with Dr. Steve Pine, he is helping us too on the Big Island. They've been waiting for me for 2 years.
Mhm. Thank you, Ms. Ignite. So Dr. Lau, you're correct. So the language of the bill is expanding the scope in this specific setting from direct to general supervision. So that is something for the board to consider.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, we'll close comments. We're not taking a vote on this today. No, this is just for information today.
Mhm.
Okay, so anything else from the board? All right, let's close it.
Well, one question. You say that you refer them to a dental home. Is there any follow-up? Are the parents questioned later? Did they actually send their child to a dental home, or like you say, they say everything's good and they go on, and then they get an abscess because there's interproximal decay,
So what we do
irrespective of the sealant?
I contact the parent or the guardian and I ask them, do you have we also provide, for Medicaid, we have a flyer, a community service, and we also have referrals in the area where they live, like in Pearl City or, in their areas. And I get dentist referral forms and I say, can you go see, I also do Makahiki clinic. And so I will call the parent and say, do you have a dentist? And can you go and schedule? And I actually note this in their Infinite Campus. Every child has document in their Infinite Campus. It's called Infinite Campus for DOE. And I note everything down that I spoke to the parent, and I actually will call back and say, did you see the dentist? I'll make sure they see the dentist. And we also refer them. Another thing too is that we also want to make sure that they know that when we return the next school year, we're doing quality assurance. I will call not 100%, but 10% of the keiki that was seen last school year, and we do retention checks. We just started this because the pandemic has been really challenging for everybody. So we do retention checks too.
Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, one more.
Go ahead.
So I know that actually is a really good point. So under, Hawaii Revised Statutes 447-3D, it does require licensed dental hygienists to refer individuals not currently under the care of a dentist and who are seen in a public health setting to a dental facility for further dental care. So that's already in our statute. But for Patrick and Maya, I wonder, is there what Ms. Hignite was sharing about that process where they follow up and everything, is that also going to be continued in the proposed sealant program? Is there any processes like that?
Yeah, we imagine that those processes will still take place because Hawaii Keiki is the current program doing these dental sealants oral health program.
I have a question, Chair. Craig Yamamoto,
Right.
Has there been an expressed interest by the hygienist to provide these services as you outlined, which will technically be under general supervision as opposed to direct supervision?
Yeah, one of the first groups that we had met with was with the Hawaii Dental Hygienists Association, and they expressed strong interest in this proposed language.
Okay.
Thank you.
You have anything else? Okay, anybody else on the board? Because this is the third time I'm going to call to close it. So this is it. Anyone else? Okay, let's move on.
Yeah.
So like I said, thank you for your information.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Ms.
Thank you all so
Hignite.
much. Appreciate it. Aloha.
All right, let's move on to American Association of Dental Boards, AADB, presentation on the AADB Dental and Dental Hygiene Compact. Is Dr. Art Lee? Excuse me, G. Sorry. G. Please have a seat and introduce yourself to the board.
Just a reminder, 5 minutes to present. Thank you.
I understand. Aloha and mahalo for the time. This is, if you will, some handouts, if you don't mind, and passing them out for me. Because I don't have time for a regular presentation, I thought I'd give you the handout, and that way you can see what's going on. Again, my name is RG, and I am the Vice President of the American Association of Dental
Sorry,
Boards.
I was informed we can't give out handouts.
Oh, yeah,
Since the whole board doesn't have.
Okay,
access.
you have that access in the,
But whatever you sent me, I sent to the board.
okay, so that is a copy of that. So that's the exact copy.
Oh,
I just did it in hand form for those that are here.
okay,
Okay.
and they have a copy.
They have a copy of that, all the,
Yes.
good as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
So the reason I brought that up is because we need to address the issues of compacts, and whether we want compacts or not, it's being thrust upon us specifically by the CSG, Council of State Governments, and the ADA. With this compact, we have now evaluated the CSG compact to a great extent, and we realize that it has significant amount of flaws and issues that, from a dental board standpoint, that we are engaging. And so with that in mind, we have been approached by multiple dental boards regarding the fact that what can you do about the CSG compacts and their issues? We went to the CSG, and the CSG told us that the compact is immutable. It cannot be changed. And with that in mind, we have now decided the only alternative is provide an ADB compact as an alternative. And the ADB compact now is, if you will, correcting what we believe is the appropriate way to do a compact. So number one, the priority of dental boards across the United States is protecting the public. That's what we need to deal with. The mission of the ADA or CSG is to promote dentists. And unfortunately, it doesn't necessarily go hand in hand with what dental boards do. And so now we're looking at a compact that are made from dental boards across the United States, about 12 different dental boards, including some of the dental board members who helped do the CSG compact, but were actually ignored as far as their comments. The differences, let me go right into it. Number one is that the CSG compact provides a privilege. That means that if you belong to the compact, you get a privilege. It's not a license. They say it's a license, but every attorney we've spoken to says that a privilege is not equal to a license. The ADB compact says that we are expediting a license. In other words, if you have a well-trained, qualified, tested dentist or dental hygienist from your state, and they have all of the requirements necessary, they will get an expedited license. So you can apply, for example, to Maryland, where I'm from originally. You have all the requirements. Maryland State Board will give me a license within a week. And we're hoping that all the compacts are that. It is a license, meaning that it's full authority of the state dental board. The problem with what we're talking about, our privilege, is that every legal attorney, every person we're talking legislatively, is that the definition of privilege is unknown and has not yet been challenged. I'll give you an example of why that's of concern for us and why it's not equal. The reason why is that if you go to the CSG, their only requirement is that you have a qualifying license from one state. From there, you would automatically have a privilege if you participate. From the CSG standpoint is that if you have in the state of Hawaii, 32 hours of CE, 20 hours for dental hygienists, and you are from a state, for example, Washington, that only has 24 hours, you are not required to have 32 hours. You only are required to have the requirements of your qualifying state. And that automatically tells us that that's not equal, if you will, a privilege and a license. The other two issues we have, or other major issues we're having, the legals talk about, is that can a privileged person, if you will, own a practice? Can they come into a practice or be part of a corporation? Number two is that does a privilege allow what we've just been talking about, what I've been listening to, supervision of a dental hygienist? By every statute in every state, it says license. There is no statute in any state that says that you could have a privilege to practice dentistry. And every compact out there, whether it's medical, nursing has an interstate license, multi-state license. Physical therapist has a licensing privilege, it says licensing. Medicine has a license. This is the only compact we've ever seen that talks about a privilege only with no mention of license. So with that in mind, we're really concerned about that definition. We're also concerned about the qualifications of the CSG compact. Number one, we believe it has to be a code accredited dental school. In their language, it says code accredited dental school or another accrediting body of the Department of Health. Well, I have been a 2-year chairman of CODA. I understand accreditation. People do not realize that dental accreditation through the Department of Education is generic. It is general. And so, as an example, oral maxillofacial surgery, we have accreditation for programs. That's why
30 more seconds.
Okay. And those programs are controlled by CODA. It has nothing to do with dentistry. And the Department of Education does osteopathic medicine. And LECOM schools are all Lake Erie College of Osteopathic Medicine. We're concerned about the fact that, as with others, there's an unknown fiscal impact. If you look at line 281, 169, they say that there is a tax and a levy to states. So this is an issue that we're talking about. And lastly, I'll make the point, is the fact is that does dental boards have jurisdiction on privileged dentists? In fact, do you even know that they're going to be in your state? Because a privileged dentist only is required to report to the data system of the commission. So I'll summarize with that real quickly. I apologize for taking too much time, but there are multiple issues of concern and why we're presenting the AADB compact as a better alternative for protection of the patients. And I'm open to questions.
Thank you.
Okay, any other public testimony on this?
We'll raise hands.
Okay, we're going to close public testimony. Joyce and Dr. Choi, do you have any questions for Dr. G?
Thank you for coming, Dr. Choi here. So I was assigned to address the board regarding any concerns I had with the presentation of the compact issue. And it is my understanding that the compact issue is basically license portability, correct?
Say that one more time.
It's the portability of dental license throughout the nation. That's the main focus of a compact.
Yes, the purpose of a compact is portability, and that's the whole purpose. But the way the portability is conducted is the issue we're arguing about. That's the whole key for us. I mean, we believe in portability, but we believe in portability of a well-trained, qualified, tested person. And in the CSG compact, there's absolutely no testing. It doesn't require it. In other words, you can come from Washington State with a DLOSCI only, or you can come from Wisconsin, which is a graduation by Marquette license. And if you're part of that compact, you'll be able to come to my state of Maryland or your state of Hawaii at any time. That's part of the compact. And the state dental board has no control over that. That is a compact that's controlled under the compact commission rule.
Commission board.
Correct. So my concern is our state licensure is a legislative process. And while the state board has some input, it is not our determination as to the portability of a license if they not meet what's written in the law from the legislature. So a compact, whether it's AADB or a CSG, really needs to fit into what the regulations and the law is for the state of Hawaii. And in your mind, have you seen what it takes to be a licensed dentist in Hawaii?
I have. Let me put it in a different context for you. So what happens is the strategy of the CSG has been going directly to legislators and going around the state dental boards totally. And they're getting the support from the ADA. And the ADA at the last House denied this compact, the CSG compact, in Resolution 401 and 401S. And they wanted to kill it. And it was now sent back to the CDL committee, which I also am part of. With that in mind, the whole concept of the compact affects dental boards directly. It will clearly undermine dental boards if, in fact, a compact comes forward and you have no control over who is in your state. You have no control of even recognizing, they'll be invisible to dental boards. because there's no requirement to report to the dental board. So you will have a two-tier system in your state of dentistry. They don't even have to follow your CE requirements. They don't have to follow your ethics requirements. So with that in mind, I think that dental boards, although they are regulatory organizations, and we see that across the United States, they can make a statement that they would support a compact that is compliant with the current statutes of the state. There's nothing wrong with making that statement. And if you make that statement, at least it's out there and legislators can look at that. We're not asking or requesting anyone to do legislative actions. I mean, that's what state dental boards do not do normally. However, dental boards should make it known that in order for them to do their duty to protect the public the best they can, that they would then make a statement that, you know, as long as you comply with the state statutes, we're comfortable with the compacts that exist. That, in my mind, is not a legislative action on the part of the dental board.
Ms. Gina, just a comment or a question on what you just said. So did I hear you correctly that the CSG compact was originally rejected by ADA and then they approved it?
No, the CSG compact, it was in a resolution to adopt by the entire House of Delegates at the last ADA annual meeting. It was rejected and sent back to the CDL committee. After rejection, it was brought back up again and it was then sent back to CDL to review. Correct.
Okay. And do you know why it was rejected? What was
it? Was rejected on three reasons. The first reason is that the original 401 was a bill that said that dental examiners should not participate in other activities, including committees, ADA committees, including dental examinations and that type, that they should be totally objective and not be involved. That was totally rejected. It brought in 401S, which included that as well, but now also included the CSG compact, wanting to adopt within that compact the ability to not use a clinical assessment only and not require a dental hands-on skills examination. And that was rejected. So that's the essence of 401 and 401S.
Okay.
And anyone who's at the delegate should be able to tell you the same thing.
Yeah, I'm just a little confused. So, but ADA does support the CSG compact.
ADA supports the CSG compact financially. Financially, it does. It also supports the concept of compact. So we have no problem. I mean, I'm a proud member of the ADA and on CDL, and as I said before, in Dakota. So it's not an issue of the ADA, but it is the concept of the compact that's being presented that in the minds of all the dental boards that I represent, which is all the dental boards, and we're saying that this really has flaws with it, especially in protecting the public. Because the concept of the ADA CSG is that anyone can go, a member of the compact, and go any state they want to go to, regardless of who they are, including those that have had disciplinary action. Our compact is very specific. You cannot have a disciplinary action if you want to be in a compact. We want a person in a compact to come to your state of Hawaii or my state, and these people are pristine. You would pass them automatically. Whereas the CSG compact specifically says that if you have an encumbered license, you're still eligible to be part of that compact. And the commission will review it, not you as a state board, but the commission would review the encumbered compact.
Okay. I'm still just a little confused trying to wrap my mind around how ADA is both rejecting it and supporting it.
But understand that there's staff and then there's the ADA members. ADA members is the house that represents all the other members. Staff at the ADA has an agenda themselves as well. And their agenda is they're supporting the CSG and they're supporting them financially.
Okay, so you're saying as an organization, ADA is supporting CSG, but as individual member states or delegates, are opposed. Okay, got it. Thank you.
And I think that's common knowledge. I don't think I'm saying anything that's inappropriate that people aren't aware of.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anyone else have questions? Dr. Seo.
So Dr. G, can you clarify to what extent, if any, will states that pass the AADB Interstate Compact need to revise their HRS statutes or rules to comply with this compact?
So what happens with any compact, whether it's CSG or the AADB compact, it has to go through legislation.
Yes, but after they adopt it.
Once they go through legislation, then what happens is that each compact will set up a compact commission. That's how it works. And they run the compact as they run it. But the statutes that are passed have to be followed within that compliance. So that's where we are with that.
With the, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, is that answering your question?
So what extent do you've analyzed AEDB's Interstate Compact with the CSG, and you're talking about the boards having full authority and sovereignty over the licensees. What analysis or what extent do they predict that any state rules or statute needs to be, changed in order to?
With the AADB, none of it would have to be changed because you're getting a state license. It is literally, I get a license, you get a license, I have to comply. If you have 32 hours and I still have 40 hours in Maryland, I have to comply with both of them. Okay, it is a license. And that means you have full authority regardless of the situation. The concern with the AADB is the fact that you would have to change your statutes to accept a privilege. So that's number one. In that privilege, the question will be is who has authority on their privilege? In some of the compacts, the commission has the authority on the compact privilege. Okay, but those are licensing privileges. No one understands, this is the concern we have, no one understands what just a privilege is. We understand licensing privilege, we understand licenses, but no other healthcare compact has only a privilege. So there's going to have to be legislation and some statutes regarding that issue. The other issue you're going to have to deal with is a two-tier system. You're going to have dentists and dental hygienists that are going to come into your state traditionally, and they're required to do all the requirements of Hawaii. And then you have compact practitioners that are coming in and they don't have to follow any of the rules.
Yep.
And you're going to have to be some type of regulation to control that if you can.
So Dr. G, just maybe in summary, are you saying that you don't foresee any extensive or any changes in the current state statutes or?
AADB?
Yes, with that comment. Okay, that's.
You're going to practice exactly like you practice now. I mean, that's the whole key because you're having a license. All it is a legislative change to accept the compact.
No, I think you answered the question. Thank you.
And unfortunately, the CSG is bringing a whole bunch of different criteria. In fact, the CSG is saying they want to create a quasi-government that has levying and taxing powers against the state. We're not asking for that because we don't need that. We already have a repository. We always have a clearinghouse. I think Hawaii may use our clearinghouse. And therefore, all of that we have already. And we just upgraded it on the security. So the cost to us is minimal.
I do have one more question if you wouldn't mind. And if you can answer, so what's the general process of states withdrawing from this compact? Maybe we look at a compact and say, hey, that looks pretty good. Legislatively, it's passed. What is the general process regarding any penalties, obligations, if a state decides to withdraw?
Well, it's very extensive with CSG. If you read the whole section, they've got an entire section on withdrawal. The withdrawal of the AADB compact is the fact that your legislation or governor will send us a letter that you withdraw and you're gone. Because it's a license. All it is an agreement that you as a state of Hawaii accept the sole source verification of the compact through AADBs. It's a sole source, that's all it is. So we verify a person coming to your state as having the requirements that are there. So there's really no entangled relationship. All it is your state says, no, we're not going to accept your sole source verification anymore. It could be your governor, lieutenant governor, it could be your district attorney. And then, or your legislative body saying, we no longer support, and you're done. Okay. There's no penalty. I mean, the whole organization is really accepting the concept of a sole source verification, which is the AADB compact. That's really all it is.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate, thank you, Dr. G.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
So, I know the CSG compact is modeled after the NLC, the nurse licensure compact, and then the interstate medical licensure compact. And then we've been receiving correspondence from AADB that the AADB compact is patterned after the Federation of State Medical Boards compact, or FSMB. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about why patterning it after the FSMB is more ideal.
Okay, so let me make a couple of quick clarifications first. So the fact is copying the nursing compact is totally inaccurate because the nurses have a multi-state license. That's what they have, a license. It is not a privilege, it's a multi-state license.
And you're talking about for the CSG.
We're talking about nursing.
Yes.
So nurses have a multi-state license.
Mhm.
So you have a license in the states you're in,
Mhm.
and you are getting it through a multi. So in other words, 4 or 5 states will say you get one license for all of us, and it is a license. You can practice in that state and, okay? The CSG compact is actually after the cosmetology compact, and they do a privilege. They're not a healthcare provider, they do a privilege. Even the physical therapist, which is the closest of the healthcare, is using a license privilege, So that is a privilege that has a licensing to it. And licensing is the key word here, okay? The reason AADB chose the medical compact is because we believe that we are the closest to the medicine as far as how we practice. That's why. And the medicine is a compact that does expedited license. They purposely do that because they want to have an expedited license that goes to each state. This also is part of an big picture, is that in medicine, especially in dentistry, we're getting into all sorts of issues regarding liability. And a lot of the liability insurance coverages are per state. And I didn't even get into it because I didn't have time, is the fact that we're concerned about, as a privilege, do you have licensing malpractice in your state? Because you don't have a real license. So I really didn't want to get into that world, but the bottom line is we've spoken to several large carriers, and their carriers are saying, well, we give malpractice insurance to doctors with licenses. We don't know what to do with the privilege.
Mm.
So there's some more issues there.
Okay.
Does that explain where we're going with that?
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, unfortunately, this is being thrust upon us. I mean, in Maryland, no one's excited about a compact, but it's out there, and CSG is actively lobbying and whatnot. So,
okay, just this is Chair Guevara. Just one last thing, just want to make sure of, so I'm understanding it correctly. Through the AADB, because I used to be a member of the AADB. Everyone, I understand how that works. They're fully qualified to get a license in the state. So ultimately, do they still have to get that license through us or through your compact? Okay, that's the big clarification.
Absolutely. What they do is that we're a verifiable single source, and we supply you with this information.
Okay, so we get all the info.
You get all the info, and you're part of the compact. You can verify it with us again, and that person, because they're verifiable, you'll say, hey, we'll give them a license, because we would have done it anyway. Okay, so we're just expediting it.
Okay.
So the state board has that. The other thing is that the state board should charge for that license. You do not lose any income stream. So if you have 10, 20, 30 people come in under a compact, you have no authority on that because the actual compact is taxing your state. There's no money coming to the state dental board, and you have practitioners here. Versus AADB, you get a license, you pay Hawaii license. I mean, you go through that process.
Yeah, that's the big clarification I want people to understand, that they still have to get our state license.
It is your state license.
Okay.
And they pay you for their license. And they renew with you and your license.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I just had one small technical question. So I didn't mark where it is, but there's language used in the compact of CODA approved instead of CODA accredited. Is that the same meaning?
So we are CODA only.
Okay.
It has to be CODA only. And the correct legislative and legal language is that if you're concerned about if something happens to CODA, it would be CODA or a successor agency. We went to CSG directly and said, look, you said, and another accredited agency of the dental, Department of Education. I said, that language is too loose and really means another. So change it to the appropriate language, CODA or successor agency. They said, we can't change it. This can't be changed. Otherwise, if they would have made these changes, we wouldn't be here talking about AEDB. And I have, as I said earlier, I've been chair of CODA, and I understand how accreditation goes, and LECOM can easily be accredited by the Commission on Osteopathic Medicine accreditation. If they want to, it's that easy.
And then my understanding is that 7 states need to pass the compact or agree to the compact in order for it to go into effect. Is that correct?
So the CSG compact requires 7. Okay. Our AADB requires 5 states.
Okay. And has any state passed it yet?
So our state, we have not, because at this stage of the game, we are now moving forward. And quite frankly, we're behind because the CSG and the ADA have been pushing it, thrusted forward. It's just until we've actually read the compact in detail that these issues have developed to create this. And I mean, we were at the national meeting for our AADB meeting, and I mean, that's the entire issue of the discussion is like, what is going on with this? How are we going to be able to, monitor the situation? So that's why the AEDB compact is here. But we do have 3 states, and we're working on a 4th state that we believe will be introducing bills. So we're really working hard. But we'll
which states, can I ask, which states are those?
I can't, because we're right in that delicate negotiation. So, but I will tell you that from where I am, there is clearly some interest.
Okay, thank you.
That's all I can reveal to you.
Okay. All right, thank you, Dr. G.
Thank you, everyone.
Anybody else have anything before we close this? This is just informational again.
It is informational.
One more question. The issue of portability. I don't see Hawaii as a state benefiting from us using the compact. I don't know too many dentists that want to go to your state or any other state to go practice, versus I do see a lot of people want to come to Hawaii to practice. And so if the AADP is going to follow our current state legislative licensure procedures, why don't we just keep it the way it is and just continue? Why do we need a compact?
We don't need a compact.
If I may respond, number one is the fact you don't need a compact, and we're not pushing the compact. However, it may be out of our hands and go to legislators, because legislators are always looking at those key essential words, manpower and access to care. And so what happens is that if a legislator is convinced that they can get dentists in some of the remote areas of Hawaii, which we are all just discussed, and there's any opportunity to do that, they're going to say, you know what, we need a compact. We need to bring people over. And so the issue is such is that it is really out of our hands, and we believe ADB, and I personally believe that we have to be on top of the situation, because before you know it, it's going to happen, and all the things that we don't want to happen, we haven't had a voice or been involved with. There are some of my colleagues, we all believe Hawaii is the best place, but there are colleagues that, if you will, actually are in Hawaii and then perhaps go for a couple of months to Oregon or go for a couple of months to California, and they have licenses there as well. And so, that's on the horizon. And then lastly, there is a whole number of DSOs that want to be able to move dentists and dental hygienists all over the place. And if you have that compact, they're going to move people all over the place. So there are a lot of things going on in the horizon that I don't think any of us really like, but what's happening. And so just being prepared is where we're coming from.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right. Anyone else from the board? Because I'm going to close the discussion. Okay, thank you, G, for that presentation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to 3F, Central Regional Dental Services Credits Presentation.
Is this?
Credits Care Program. Who's here? Do we have someone presenting for that? It's from the wall. Oh, it fell off the wall.
Thanks, Joy.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome to stay and listen to the rest of the meeting or to go, it's totally up to you.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks.
Thank you very much.
For a few minutes. Okay.
Sure, yes, thank you.
Again, we're going back to credits presentation. Is there any public testimony?
We do have a Raquel.
Is our
Yes,
presenter.
that's our presenter.
Promote her.
Okay.
Thank you.
Tell me when she's ready to present. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, Ms. Cobbler, you have the floor. You have 5 minutes to present to us.
And we do have your slides.
Yes.
Good to see you again. Mark is pulling them up just a second, so if you can just give him cues for when you want to advance the slides. And is Dr. Edwards also?
I'm sorry, pardon me?
Are you presenting solo?
I am. Unfortunately, Dr. Edwards wanted to be here. He ran into troubles with traveling, and so he is not going to be able to be here. And I regret that because you may have questions about the technical aspects of the program that I may not be able to answer. But if not, we can hopefully come back or prepare something for you if you have questions.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you again for letting me come again. And I do appreciate it. I know we were here recently, but because of the short time that you have for us, we wanted to make sure that we did it separately regarding the technical aspects of our exam and then this credits care program. So I'll just do a very high level overview since you have the slides. That's excellent, and that will give you most of the information you need. If you could just go ahead and scroll, please, to slide 3. This is the main things that we want to talk about today, or that I want to cover today. I'm sorry. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. So how the credits care program works in regards to state board remediation, how it works in regards to individuals seeking reeducation, and then how we compare to remediation services offered by others. You can advance to slide 4, please. As far as how it works, we have been working with state boards as we saw a need over the past 2 years, as Dr. Edwards, our director of dental exams, and myself have been presenting to state boards and updating our members on our exams. We continued to hear a need for remediation tools by boards who were ordering remediation of one sort or another and not really having good options. So we decided, we've been doing this for 50 years. We have the subject matter experts. We have the examiners, faculty members on in our pool. So we created what is called the the Credits Care Program, and CARE stands for Calibrate, Administrate, Remediate, and Educate. And that's how we came up with the acronym. So the program is one where if the state board has a licensee who needs remediation, they can reach out to us and let us know what the order is. And then the program's coordinator will connect with the licensee, and whatever the board is recommending as far as reeducation or remediation, a plan is created for that specific situation, for that specific licensee. So it's it's modeled directly toward what that licensee needs. And then once we've completed it, the state board is provided the documentation and the results of the remediation and where that licensee now stands. You can move forward, please. The licensee reaches out directly to credits if there is a need for the licensee who maybe has been out of the practicing world for a while for whatever life reasons there may be. And we will make sure that they have been in touch with the state board to make sure that, you know, what the state board requires of them to get back into practice. And then we create a plan for them, a re-education plan for them using the results of our pre-assessment. They'll come in, we'll do a pre-assessment, figure out where exactly they are, if they need a little bit of education, if they need a little bit of hand skills training, or if they're pretty far behind and need a lot. And then we will complete that pre-assessment and give them a certificate of completion and a detailed analysis of their results and how they scored. That can also be provided to the board on their behalf if they are trying to get, again, re-licensed or I'm not sure what Hawaii's rules are on how long you can be out of practice without your license being suspended or how that works. But each state is different. And so we work specifically with the state that they are trying to be relicensed in to make sure that everything is happening as it should. We're not wasting anybody's money or anybody's time, and that we are in communication with the board as well as the licensee. I think you can go ahead and move on one more slide. I think I have a little bit more. This is just an example of the menu of options that we have, and you have that in your slides, so I won't go over that in detail, but we did want to provide something more comprehensive that shows you a little bit more about the program. And then I think you can go ahead and go all the way, if you would, to slide 20.
Ms. Cobbler, just a time stamp, you have about 30 more seconds.
Thank you. On slide 20, you will see the dental hygiene re-education sample. And as I discussed, the licensee gets in touch with us. We create a plan for them, and then we can report back to the board. And then real quickly, if you'll just go to slide 34, I'll wrap it up here. The last question that was asked of us from the Hawaii board was, how do we compare, or what makes credits different? We believe that we are different because all of the learning is scheduled around the licensee's schedule, and according to the board order, it's one-on-one learning. We have comprehensive learning plans designed on the individual needs. There's no one-size-fits-all approach, and it encourages lifelong learning and continuing education. So we're not just a one-stop shop if they have other needs. We work with Spear Education, that is a dental platform where they can take CE and further their education beyond the program. That is a very high-level, quick synopsis, and if there's any questions I can answer as you went through the materials that I didn't cover or that you didn't find in the materials, I'd be happy to answer them. Again, if there's ever an opportunity for a more thorough presentation, we'd be happy to come back. In fact, I'm a little bit jealous of Dr. G that he got to travel to the board meeting and I didn't. So had I known he was going, I might have stowed away in his luggage or thank you again for the opportunity and the time.
All right, thank you very much. I'm going to pose any other public comments here. All right, seeing no more public comments, going to close it. I'm going to pose this back to the board. Any questions for Ms. Cobbler?
I have a question. Oh, sorry. This is Dr. Lau. Rochelle, this is Dr. Lau. Are your classes PACE or CERP certified? Do they get credits with that kind of credit?
That's a really great question. Thank you for asking. When we did our research, what we found state to state was that it is a state board decision on CE credits. So we as a organization are not accredited, but all of our faculty who teach the CE courses are accredited through the school that they are teaching with. So everybody that does CE for credits is accredited through their faculty position.
So when they graduate your program with their customized training, they'll get a certificate saying, I've been CERP, I have these many credits, and it's either PACE or CERP, and they can use it to apply.
There
for
is
their
no specific,
requirements.
there is no specific CERP or PACE certification associated with our program, and that is why it's state to state. But we polled the states, and the states said each state has a different requirement for CE. If your faculty members are accredited through their school, if they are the ones presenting the CE, then we will accept that. Now that if that's different for Hawaii, we would like to know that so that we can, you know, work on getting that. But we did not find a need to be certified through CERP or PACE, and that was simply because the state, our 23 state members, as we polled them, said, you know, that is a state by state decision. Did that help answer the question?
It kind of did, but
Yeah.
maybe Joyce and Andrew, we're working on something for our hygiene thing.
Yeah, we'd love to get more information, especially if our situation does not meet your needs and requirements. We'd sure like to get more information so that we can get there.
I have a question. This is Kathy Fukushima. So was this program created because these people didn't pass the exams?
No. This program was created for state board remediation. So we were going to all the state boards, reintroducing our exam, updating our members on where we were with our examinations. And we continually heard a need for remediation at the state board meetings. Not anything to do with credits. We were just there presenting and continued to hear this need for remediation and the talk that there are, you know, very limited resources for remediation. And in fact, sometimes maybe they take a jaunt to Hawaii and attend a conference, and their 3-hour conference is supposedly their remediation, you know, and maybe it is CERP or PACE certified, but that is not what we understood most boards desire for their licensees when they need remediation. So no, we've been doing remediation with state board ordered licensees who have been disciplined for whatever reason. The board gives us the order and what exactly they're being disciplined for and what they need in their remediation. And that can include the pre-assessment, ethics, hand skills, CE, and a post-assessment. That is the full comprehensive plan. And again, it was developed because we continued to hear a need, and we thought, we have this expertise. Why have we not given this to our boards? We remember we are an agency that serves the state boards, and that is our whole purpose, and our mission is to protect the health and safety of the public by serving you as the dental boards. And so we are just wanted to be another tool that you can use for remediation or re-education. Again, it doesn't have to be state board ordered. Licensees who have been out of the practice come to us and say, some voluntarily, some at the state board's request, even though it's not an order, will come and say, I've been out of practice for 5 years. I'm ready to get back in, but I need some brush up on my education and my hand skills training. And we have a facility right here in our Topeka home office that has 4 stations that are fully manned with mannequin, not accidental, ADEC stations that are fully manned and operable, and they can practice on that. We do also give exams if needed. For example, we've had people call us who want to move to a state. For example, Nebraska only accepts credits now. This has been just a 2-year development. So people who may be moving to Nebraska will say, call and say, I need a credits exam. You know, I passed my ADEX exam, or my credits exam or my CETA exam 20 years ago, but now I need the credits exam to go practice in Nebraska, and we can do that as well. So it's a separate arm from our exam, but we wanted to present it to you all as a state board member. And while you don't accept currently dental for credits, you do accept dental hygiene for credits. So, but again, this is a separate program. It would need to be vetted by you as the board as a tool for remediation, and you would have to decide, of course, if it's appropriate for both dentists and dental hygienists, or one or the other, or if we need to, do some more things to meet those requirements.
Okay, I think we just have one or two more questions here, Dr. Seo.
Hi, how are you doing? I
Good.
just have
How
a
are you
few-
doing?
No, good, thank you. I just have a few questions. How long has this care program been implemented or in place?
It was April of 2022 when we opened our doors upstairs and began doing remediations.
The other question is, could you name some of the states that the dental boards have used this care program for remediation of their dental licensees or dental hygienists?
Sure. Missouri, Iowa, Utah. We've had a couple individuals come from California, Florida, and I believe we had one from North Carolina. Texas is another board that has utilized us.
No, thank you.
That's
And
just
one-
off the top of my head. If you wanted a definitive list, I could get you that as well.
No, I think that information would be great. And lastly, where is this program given? Is it in your headquarters in Topeka, Kansas, or other states where they
Yes.
give me?
It is in our headquarters in Topeka, Kansas. We are centrally located. We felt like that was the best sort of place to hold or build our facility. We do have other independent testing sites where we can utilize the clinics if need be. We prefer to do it here at our Topeka location because we are centrally located and we have a full facility upstairs. I wish that you weren't so far away. We would love to invite you to view our facility, and maybe those of you who come to Kansas City for the meetings, if you haven't already viewed it, you could come over and take a look. Dr. Yamada and Dr. Fujimoto and Dr. Seo, I know that you occasionally are in Kansas City with us, so we'd love to show you the facility if you haven't already seen it.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions from the board? Again, this is just informational. Okay, seeing no other question, let's move on to item 3G, formation of the legislative committee for the 2024 legislative session.
Thank you, Ms. Cobbler. We're gonna put you back into the regular attendees. Appreciate it. And if there's anything else you'd like to provide to the board, you can provide it via email.
Again, we're on the 3G. I'm gonna already open this up to any public comments for the legislative committee. Okay, all right, let's close public comments. The reason why I asked for the public comments, we're gonna actually defer this action until the next board meeting. Okay, for matters in regards to the formation of the legislative committee. Okay, but does anyone on the board have any questions about this? Do you have any comment? Okay, like I said, we're gonna defer this until next month, next board meeting. Okay, let's move on to item 4, old business. We'll go to A. We've been talking a lot about this already, interstate dental compacts. I mean, I'm not sure if we really need to open it back up, but we have, Dr. G is still here because this is also information for the interstate dental compacts. And we just went through a large presentation on it already. And we've asked pretty much all the questions that we need to, but again, I'll open it back up to public comments. Dr. G, you have anything else to present to us? Anyone else? Any public comments from?
No raised hands.
Okay, so let's close public comments again. So now I'll open it back up to the board. Anyone else have any more questions in regards to interstate dental compacts for Dr. G? I know it's kind of two things. We had it at the beginning and then we have it again. So, I mean, we asked a lot of questions already. Again, I'm opening it back up to the board members. Does anyone else have another question?
And just a comment for the board. I know it's a little bit redundant, but this will likely keep coming back as old business just because it's such a top of mind thing. I know it feels premature for the board to start thinking about this, but as we heard in our presentation and just the general feel nationwide, there's a high probability that it might be introduced in the upcoming legislative session. So for the board to start really getting into the details on just stance on compacts and the two different ones that are out there currently.
Yeah.
And we will be inviting all the related parties, if they're available, to come and present so you can have more information and opportunities to ask questions. But I know the information is dense, but please make sure to keep going through them as they come out.
What I would suggest to the board is to make sure that you're well aware of what each of the compacts has involved, because some are more aligned with giving the states more autonomy and more in line with what the state statutes are. So that's what you really need to take into account. Again, not just get feelers out there, because this is a pretty hot topic. You need to come up with I don't want to say you need to come up with a stance or what you think, but compacts are going to be pretty difficult for the state for it to come in line with our statutes. Again, we're going to keep seeing this because I attended the ADA convention recently, and that's probably the biggest topic that was talked about. So again, I'm not sure we can get any feelers, but it's something that all of us on the board are going to have to think about. So you need to think about and really be well aware of what's all involved, so you can help with the discussion on whether we agree or disagree with a compact. Anything else? Dr. Sale.
This is Andrew. I do have a comment. Are there any plans to have the CSG present at this time so we can ask them direct questions?
Yes, I did want to space out the presentation so it's not information overload, but yes, we do have plans to bring them.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so I'm going to close the discussion on this then, because it's something that all of us as the board members are going to have to really think about. So it's not going to go away. So just be aware of that. Oh, Dr. Fujimoto, do you have anything? I know I kind of, the two of us are in line with asking the questions here, but we did cover pretty much everything in the first presentation.
I think what you said is good. Yeah, and we just got to look forward to more presentations and our inputs. So thank you.
All right. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and close the discussion on the Interstate Dental Compact. Let's move on to 4B. Back to the Central Regional Dental Services credits versus the American Dental Examination, the ADEX exam comparison chart. Okay, so the credits has already provided us the information. They want to present again, or someone? I'll open this up to public comments. Is there anyone from credits that would like to discuss this? Because Ms. Cobbler was here, we were kind of touching on this.
Okay, I won't take your time. As you said, you have the information we have presented in the past. I just want to reiterate the importance of each board across the United States to review and compare the exams that are currently out there, because since everything has gone to mannequin versus patient-based, there are differences. And as I mentioned, Nebraska recently decided that the ADEX exam does not meet all of their requirements per statute. So it's very important to us as a testing agency, not only that you review ours or the ADEX exam, but you compare them and make sure that they are both meeting yours. Again, we are anxious to come back to Hawaii and be able to be accepted as an examination for dental, as we are already for dental hygiene, and we want to give you whatever information you need. We've done a side-by-side comparison. I guess that's what we presented to you. We just like to make sure that the board is very careful. Hawaii is one of the few states that really looks at their licensees. And I mean that as a compliment. The board, this dental board is very astute and very, like you said, you don't want to just let anybody come to your state. That is why we don't think compacts are necessary at all, because we already have methods in place for making sure people who come to your state and to other states are meeting the requirements you stand for. So we don't necessarily not support compacts, but we don't really see the necessity either. So we just want to make sure that you have the information before you. If there's more information needed, please let us know. We're able to speak with the Health Coalition not too long ago, Patrick Donnelly, and had a really good conversation with them. So that's really all this is. We don't want to be the only examination in the nation. We think a monopoly is a terrible idea for dentistry, and we want to be an option for candidates, for state boards, and for schools. So thank you for entertaining our information, and please let us know.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Cobbler. Any other public comments? Anyone else there? Okay, so I'm going to close public comments. I'll open it back up to the board. Dr. Chong, Dr. Seo, any comments, any questions?
I'll let Dr. Chong go first, unless.
If you have any.
Well, I mean,
Put you on the spot.
this is Dr. Chong. I mean, I took a look at the comparison chart. It does, in my opinion, it looks like a pretty good exam. I know like 8X, what they have down for the 8X exam and credits, some of the formats were actually very similar before, and 8X had changed some of their grading criteria. I think that the perio part for credits is a little more thorough than what I'm seeing from the 8X exam side. I guess it'd be nice if the different testing agencies in general just align themselves in general in some way, but I don't think that's possible. But I think it looks like a pretty good exam. I don't have any experience examining for credits, but I have examined for the 8X exam.
Put our hands raised.
Is there someone raised? Who's got their hand?
It's me. I didn't know if it was okay to respond.
Oh, yeah, it is. The questions are directed to you.
Okay, thank you. The fact, and most dentists, most dental hygienists would love to see everybody align and come together as one. That is why we think 8X was originally written into the statute, is because there was a movement toward that. All of the testing agencies at the time, there were 5, came together. Unfortunately, there were principal differences that didn't allow them to come together in what our current state board members versus other state board members, or I don't even know the history exactly, but I know that there were differences in opinion that kept that from becoming the one 8X exam. And that is what you and a couple of other states at that time believed was going to happen. And so you wrote it into statute, the 8X exam. Unfortunately, there is only one agency that is allowed to give the 8X exam, and that is the conglomerate that is now CDCA, Reb, CETA. They are the only agency that is allowed to give that exam. We did go back and say, okay, we have heard from other dental boards that they would like us to align. We want to come back to the table. And we received a letter that said, no, thank you. We have the agency that wants to give our exam, and we're happy with that. So 8X, even though it is supposed to be a third-party testing development, and an independent agency, only allows CDC, Reb, CETA to give their exam. So that was a problem in why we couldn't come together. And I believe CERTA experienced the same problem. So we would love to somehow, someday come together, and we're working hopefully every day towards something like that. But until and unless that happens, you have 3 really good exams out there. And we believe credits meets your standards even better than any of the others. And that is because of the Perio. We are not a scaling only exam. And as you mentioned, some scoring requirements were changed with the ADAX exam, and things continue to change there. You, as a state board member, even though dental isn't accepted in Hawaii, you come to our meetings, you have a voice in the exam every 3 times a year. You have a voice in what our exam looks like, how it is enhanced or improved if need be, and where we change things to meet your requirements.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other board members? Dr. Sayles.
So I just want to reiterate that, any alterations regarding the exam requirements need to be done through legislative action, and it's not a board decision. And I just want to remind people that currently the state exams for dental hygiene does accept multiple, ADEX credits and other regional exams at this time. Reviewing the ADEX and the credit dental exams, and I'm examiner for, CWC. In my opinion, I believe both examinations for dental effectively, test the competency of the licensees, due to our standards. I mean, that's my personal opinion at this time.
Okay. Anyone else?
If I could just make one other comment, we do know that there are Hawaii dental students, Hawaiian dental students in at least 2 of the schools that we test in currently. And they want to maybe come back to Hawaii to practice, or maybe they want to move. So we're talking about new graduates needing and wanting to come back to your state. And I know that there is a shortage in Hawaii, as there is in many other states, specifically with underserved populations. We recognize that. And I talked to Patrick for a long time about what can we do as a testing agency to help influence and impact that problem. So we're open-minded. We want to work on the specific problems that you have, but first we believe that acceptance of the credits exam is the first step toward making those changes. So again, I just thank you for entertaining me today and letting me be here. I am going to get there in person one of these days. But until then, it's great to see all of your faces, and thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Colbert. You can go ahead and release her back to off the panel. All right, let's move on. So we're going to close the discussion for that. Let's move on to the 5 applications, the ratification of some of the applications. First, before I move on to the application, are there any public comments to any of the applications that are put forth to the board? Yes.
I'm under the lower one.
Okay.
Abraham Miller.
Okay, all right. So you didn't know you were attending. Okay.
Yeah,
great.
I'm sorry. I didn't know you were coming in person.
Oh, it's important, so I'm here.
Okay.
If you have the option, you can either provide your testimony in open session, or the board's going to move into executive session on the application, and we can call you in we're in executive session when only the board members and board staff are present.
That might be what you want us to do. Okay, so we're actually going to move you then. We'll make a slight adjustment to the agenda, and we're going to move you down to B instead of 1 to be B2.
As long as we happen today.
Yeah, it's going to happen. We'll be here.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so hold tight. We're going to do the ratification list first, and then we'll move into exec session. We'll ask everybody to leave, and then we'll call you back.
Okay, so let's close public testimony. Anyone from the board have any questions? Brian, anything from you before I start calling off the list? I guess not. All right, so let's move on to the ratification list. Okay, I'm just going to read things off, and we'll go from 5A, 1, 2, 3, 4. Excuse me, not 4. I'll have to read 4. So we'll do 1, 2, and 3 first. So, for the first ratification list is the approved dentist list. It is from DT 3130 to DT 3146. Okay, and then 2 is approved temporary dentist, that's DT 371 to DTT 371 to DTT 372. And then we'll move to 3 approved dental hygienists, that's DH 2446 to DH 2455. Okay, so I just need a motion to approve the licenses. We have a
Joy, I so move to approve the license for dentist, temporary dentist, and dental hygienist.
The ratification.
The
list.
ratification. Okay,
I'm Andrew, second.
okay. Any recusals or abstentions? Okay, all in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so that's for A1, 2, and 3. Now we need to move to 4, approved dental hygiene certification in the administration of intraoral block anesthesia. So that's DH 2434, DH 2441, DH 2448, DH 2449, DH 2452, and DH 2453.
And the last one.
Oh, there's another one? Oh, I'm sorry, and DH 2455. So
Need a motion.
I need a motion to, to approve the dental certification administration of intraoral block anesthesia. I need a motion.
I so move.
Okay, all
Joy.
right, I need a second.
Andrew, I second.
Okay, any recusals or abstentions? Seeing none, all in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
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 Okay, so that, so moved, approved, dental hygiene certification in intro. Okay, let's move on to, let's move into 5B. Do you want to talk about the first one? Do you want to move into executive?
Just move into executive session to discuss the applications.
For both of them? Okay, I'm gonna make a motion that we move into executive session, as per HRS 92-4, to discuss with our board attorney matters related to dental licensure. I need a motion. I'll make the motion. I just need a second.
Second, Andrew.
Okay, all in favor of moving into executive session, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so let's go ahead and move into executive session. And while we're doing that, I'm gonna run to the back.
So I hope you to step outside and we'll call you back in.
Take a break.
You know, I'm not sure I got the Microsoft Teams invite.
Me either.
You know, sent it to me.
Mark Yoshimura.
Hi, Brian. We'll send
Got
it
it.
to you. Oh, okay.
Thanks.
I'm gonna miss my bus.
Are we okay?
We're okay, we can.
What's on there? Just cement? What's on there now? Nothing, just cement?
He said it's just for my living, the area,
Okay.
but he said it's fine. I'm used to it. He said it felt like something forever. He said it's fine. Dr. Fujimoto, Dr. Choi, if you're there, if you can turn on your camera, you can hear us. And then meanwhile, Dr. Guvar is just gonna take a quick.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a-
For us to test audio.
All right, so let's start with the roll. Dr. Seo?
Andrew in person.
Okay. Dr. Chong?
Here.
Okay, Dr. Choi?
I'm here, but it won't let me start my video.
Hey, as long as we can hear you. Dr. Fujimoto?
Yeah, I'm here too, and it says the host is disabling us.
Okay.
Okay, we're working on it.
We're
Thank
working
you.
on it.
Oh, okay, I'm on now.
All right. Dr. Fukushima? Okay, here. Dr. Lau?
Here alone.
Okay. Joy?
Here.
Here. Joy Shimada? I can
Here.
see her. Okay. Dr. Yamamoto?
Right here.
Up in the corner. Okay, and myself. So we had a quorum. Okay, as to the licenses, let's start with Park. I need a motion to approve.
Your motion?
I'll make the motion to approve Dr. Park's license. Need a second?
This is Andrew.
Oh, go
All
ahead.
right, Craig Yamamoto second.
Dr. Okay.
Who are you taking?
I'll take Dr. Lau. I saw his hand up first. Okay, and for Dr. Park, any,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, we said we'd go with that first. Any recusals or nay votes? All right, all in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, all in, that's a
Motion carries.
motion carries. Okay, now, Dr. Miller, I need a motion.
This is Andrew. I motion to defer the application at this time.
Okay. Any recusals?
Oh, you need a second?
Oh, I need a second, sorry.
Joy.
Okay.
Second.
Any recusals or nay? Okay, seeing none, all in favor of deferring the license, raise your hand.
Application.
Application. And say aye.
Aye.
All right, so
Mhm.
motion carried.
Motion carries.
Yeah.
Yep. Mhm. So, applications deferred, we'll be in contact with more information, so check your email, and we'll provide more information for the meeting. Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you, Dr.
Yeah,
Miller, for
Like
coming.
I said, it's, listen for the board, okay? Alright. Okay, let's move on since we have to keep going. Let's move on to 5C, approved sponsors organization.
Mhm.
That's the dental education solution and training for 2024 updates and training. Joy, any comments on that?
You want to ask for the public testimony?
Oh, any public testimony for the dental education solution and training?
No raised hands.
Okay, then I'll close public testimony. Let's move on to board discussion. It's a training for dental education and solutions. Joy, do you have anything for us?
I was looking into this, so does this mean the whole office have to go to this?
Well, we're all required to take OSHA training.
Yeah.
So this is just someone applying to provide the training.
Training, okay.
And they did provide the all the information.
Mhm. Yeah, and
Review it.
if you missed it, there was an update to the information provided, so they did include a more detailed breakdown of their curriculum, including the hours.
Yeah. I think you got that to us in our packet. I
Yeah.
read that.
They provided an update a little later, so I don't know if everybody got a chance to review it, but they provided an extra updated copy of their certificate of completion.
Yeah, that's.
This was after the initial. Yeah. When was that sent?
Late Friday.
Okay.
You didn't have any issues with it.
Yeah, upon my review, the application does seem to meet all the requirements. So again, this is for pursuant to our administrative rules 16-79-143. This is for CEs. So we have a list of approved sponsoring organizations already in our administrative rules. And there's a provision if someone wants to be a sponsoring organization, but is not on the list, they have to apply with the board, and there's a form and an application and everything. They have to include all the materials, and I've on my review, it appears that they're all met. But it's the board's, discretion if
Yeah, we've done this before, those of you that have been on the board, and it meets all of our criteria. So I'll make a motion that we approve the education, the OSHA training. Any
I
other?
second.
Okay,
Joyce seconds.
Joyce seconds. Any nays or recusals? All right, I should ask, any other discussion? I didn't ask that. Okay, seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Raise your hand, say. Aye. Okay, and there were no recusals, so you can have that back. So they'll be given, or they'll be added to our list. Okay, I'm gonna move on to 6. Executive Officer Report. I'm gonna turn everything over to Sheena.
Okay, thank you, Chair. So this is just, the first one is a friendly reminder to everybody that we're currently in, renewals are open for all licensees as of November 6, 2023. So all licensees, again, we've been giving out reminded that they must renew their license by December 31st, 2023, or their license is considered forfeited, and they will no longer be able to practice in the state of Hawaii unless they restore, or after the restoration period, reapply as a new applicant. So most renewals can be done online via your MyPVL account. That's mypvl.dcca.hawaii.gov. And all licensees are advised to contact the board if there's any issues or questions about renewal. A note for the dentist with the special permit to administer anesthesia. We've been giving these reminders at our board meetings. Postcard went out, it's on the website. But these licensees, so dentists with that special permit for anesthesia, must submit a hard copy only renewal form. And this is regardless of if they're trying to renew their privilege or not. So they also must complete a renewal inspection, and we have our anesthesia pig, our volunteers who are also helping with those renewal inspections. I also wanted to report to the board that I reached out to the Hawaii Dental Association, HDA, and also the Hawaii Dental Hygienist Association, HDHA, to provide more information for Maui licensees who may have been affected by the Lahaina and upcountry Maui wildfires. That was on discussion last board meeting. And thank you also to Dr. Lau, who provided a list of dentists in the Lahaina area. So any dentists who were affected for the CE requirement, you're advised if you're submitting a CE waiver, it has to be submitted with your application. Because if you submit a renewal form without the waiver and then later on want to submit a waiver request, you will be considered having falsely attested. Because when you sign your renewal form and submit it, you're attesting that you met the CE requirement. So that's just an FYI. And again, to request a hard copy form for anybody who needs it, you can contact the licensing branch at 808-586-3000. Pick up at our office location, King Kalakaua Building, 335 Merchant Street, room 301, Honolulu, Hawaii, 96813. Or you can email the board, dental@dcca.hawaii.gov. And again, all the information is available on the board's website. Okay. So next, 6B, Governor's 8th emergency proclamation related to wildfires. This is again just an FYI. So the governor has been issuing these emergency proclamations. He released a new one on November 6, 2023. So just reminding the public that this is the 8th emergency proclamation. It does not exempt any provision in HRS Chapter 447, HRS Chapter 448, or HAR Chapter 79. So just in short, anybody who wishes to practice dentistry or dental hygiene in Hawaii must be licensed. Okay. Moving along, 6C, delegation to the executive officer. So I'm asking the board to delegate to the EO the authority to approve applications with a prior conviction or misdemeanor based off of the list that was provided in your board packet. And this will help streamline the application process because many of those that are listed on that list, they've been previously approved by the board and discussed and okayed. And so you can look at the list if there's any you want to strike off or can change any of those conditions. This is what the East Board uses and was approved by. When I reread it, I will probably suggest striking just the one on possession of drug paraphernalia. I know that that's more pertinent to the dental profession. So I would suggest just taking that one off. But if there's any other changes, I know this was done in the past with my predecessor, but I just wanted to reintroduce this to make it really clear what you would be.
Do we have anything in writing for her? Because we had it with both Jimmy and Sandy. This was already in place.
Yeah, so I wasn't given anything.
Okay.
So I just wanted to make it.
If you want to make this more formal, can we take a vote on this today?
You would need to vote and then.
We have to discuss it and vote on it next time.
No, you can discuss and vote today.
Okay.
And then we'll include all of these that are on this list in the minutes so the public can also see.
Okay, any public testimony in regards to this? I'll open up the public testimony since it's on your side.
No response.
Okay, then I'm gonna put this, close public testimony and put it to the board just to expedite things. I would make a motion to approve the list minus the possession of drug paraphernalia. Because we have had this in place all the way back to our previous EOs. I just need a second. I'm making the motion, so I just need a second.
This is Andrew, I second.
Okay, any nays or recusals? All right, all in favor of giving the EO the power to approve these licenses? Raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and there were no recusals or.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so move. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Motion carries for that delegation to the executive officer. 6D, 2024 proposed legislation relating to healthcare provider credentialing. So the department received a copy of the language that was provided in your packet regarding this potential legislation. Again, anything with regards to legislation, the board will not opine on until it actually is submitted and goes through as a draft legislation. But I just wanted to provide the language as an FYI to the board that this may be coming up in the 2024 legislative session. As stated in the draft bill, you can read there, the purpose of this legislative proposal is to authorize credentialing conducted by the Hawaii Health Systems Corporation, health plans accredited by the National Committee on Quality Assurance, and hospitals accredited by the Joint Commission to serve as a prima facie credentialing for purpose of the health plan network participation. It also authorizes a healthcare credentialing clearinghouse pilot program within the Department of Health. This seems to be more related to insurance purposes and hiring and employment. So I don't know that it's directly related to things on the board, but Kathy or Dr. Yamamoto, did you want to weigh in?
Yeah, it's just briefly, credentialing is a process that many hospitals require for certain specialists like oral surgeons. That process has been over a year for many surgeons. And it's not because they're overwhelmed. So the hospitals, of course, it is required by insurance companies, but that's a fairly speedy process. But in regard to institutions, like even where we volunteer at and hospitals, it can be a very lengthy process. It's only because they're overwhelmed. So I mean, on the surface, at least when I read it, it seems perfectly reasonable to try to centralize this, speed this up, put some manpower in place, a little bit of money, if you will, from the state to help centralize the credentialing of providers and institutions. And so I mean, so far it seems very reasonable because of the problems. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that context. Did you have anything to add, Kathy?
No, I think I was correcting the grammar in it.
Oh, okay.
But no, I do know.
Okay.
So let's just move on.
Okay, that's good. So again, this is just an FYI for the board. It's good to keep in mind, if it does get, pushed through, we may be asked to, opine on it. But thank you for reviewing that. Okay, we're almost through. Last is just a couple announcements. 2024 board meeting schedule. This was already sent to you by Mark, but just wanted to provide that again to you, the meeting schedule. There's 2 extra ones, February 5th and April 8th, that are special legislative meetings. We have that just as a placeholder. And as the date gets closer, we'll confirm if those are needed or not, and then duly inform the public. Okay, last reminder, ethics training. So just reminded that you're required to complete a mandatory ethics training every 4 years. And it's that time frame is due no later than December 31st, 2023. So I will not name names, but I am missing 4 people's certificates of completion. So if you can just email those certificates to me, and I'll contact you after the meeting too if you're not sure if that's you. And if you do need to still complete the ethics training, it's available online, and the link is in the flyer that I included in your packet. But that's all I have.
Okay, then our next board meeting will be Monday, January 22nd, 2023. Any questions from me before we dismiss?
24.
Oh, 2020, oh, it's wrong here. It says
yes.
January, it's the typo in our thing here, January 22nd, 2024. Yeah.
Okay. Good catch. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so
Adjourned?
that meeting adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone. It was a long meeting today. Thanks for everything.
Happy Thanksgiving.